Indigenous groups in Ontario are condemning Premier Doug Ford's so-called Protecting Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act. The group calls it Trump-like and says it's a sweeping assault on constitutionally protected Indigenous rights, while the government says it's necessary to fast-track development amid the trade war with the U.S. Emily Taylor joins me in studio to break it all down. Emily.
Matt, the new act, also called Bill 5, is aimed at making it easier for developers to get projects off the ground in mineral-rich areas like the Ring of Fire. It does so by making sweeping changes to environmental protections and the obligation for developers to consult local Indigenous nations. In a letter that refers to Doug Ford's government as Trump-like, the Haudenosaunee Development Institute is sounding the alarm on a new piece of legislation they say is a sweeping assault on constitutionally protected Indigenous rights.
People in Ontario are all walking around now with their elbows up because Trump is ignoring their rights and their interests with respect to being Canadian. And this is exactly what the Doug Ford government is doing to Indigenous people right now.
Bill 5, also known as the Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act, looks to speed up the development of mines and other so-called special economic zones in the province by doing away with or making sweeping changes to several environmental and archaeological assessments and the obligation for developers to consult local Indigenous nations under the Ontario Heritage Act. Premier Doug Ford has his eyes set on a mine in a region of northern Ontario called the Ring of Fire.
We have upwards to $1 trillion in the Ring of Fire, and we aren't sitting around for the next 20, 30 years to get that out.
Ford says that bureaucracy is holding back the province's economy, especially during the uncertainty of Canada's trade war with the United States. Minister of Indigenous Affairs Greg Rickford did not respond to CHCH News' request for an interview. Instead, his ministry sent a statement that reads in part, "We want to be clear, the proposed legislation is about unlocking Ontario's true economic potential. The duty to consult will not be compromised as part of this process." But the Development Institute says the bill brings up plenty of questions about how Indigenous burial sites and unmarked graves will be found and treated.
Most, if not all, Indigenous cemeteries and burials are registered as archaeological sites and not as cemeteries. So the province has done a poor job of protecting those up to date. It's clear that they actually don't have any metrics on how Indigenous archaeological sites are found. And they're not giving us any way in which they're going to actually find sites moving forward. They're basically just wiping it away and saying we don't care.
Bill 5 is currently going through its second reading and debate at Queen's Park. And of course, the Ford government does have a majority, so this will be an easy bill to pass.